Oh, what is going on, racers? I'm your horsepower performance host, Terry Bridges. We got a great show for you tonight. We got the real deal, Chris Gibb, and UAS Administrator, the Rocket, Ronnie Cox. Don't go anywhere.
Hey race fans, it's Double M, Mike Michelson, and it's time for Winner's Circle Wednesday, only on the Northwest Race Report.
Oh, what is going on, Phyllis, Maurice, the Rocket, Ronnie Cox in the house. He'll be our guest about 7:30 tonight. Got the real deal, Chris Gibb, going to be calling in. We had a guest, Mr. Marty Casey. He was the owner of Tag USA. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it tonight, and so I scrambled. And thanks to Chris Gibb, the real deal, and the Rocket, Ronnie Cox, they bailed me out once again for Winning Wednesday. Hope everybody is doing good with the coronavirus. It's kind of cool to see things start to open back up. There's a lot, I saw a cool meme today. It kind of made me chuckle. It had the dude on, Austin Powers. And the guy says, hey, the coronavirus is dying down. Release the murder hornets. Here he is. Oh, and our guest, he is the real deal. Matter of fact, I'm going to do this right here.
What's up, race fans? This is the real deal, Chris Gibb, and you're listening to the Northwest Race Report.
And here he is, live and in person, the real deal, Mr. Chris Gibb. What's going on, Gibber?
Chilling like a villain.
Like you always do. Hey, you know what? The coronavirus scare is over. Now we need to release the murder hornets.
You can't scare me.
I just thought that I found that humorous. Did you see the size of those things?
Yeah, they pretty much take your dog, take it away, and eat in a riverbed. Not too cool.
I know. You probably don't know him, but BJ Tidrick is a late model guy, and he said he had, I think, he had one underneath a cup. And he said, I heard the thing before I saw it. Okay? And so he had it trapped under. He says, this thing's about the size of my thumb. And I'm telling you, I looked at some videos. You should see one of those things. It shows it killing a mouse,
stop,
dude.
TB, stop.
I know. I'm not a...
Let's go cars feed it some tire prep, dude. Game's over.
I just know those things are... I do not like yellow jackets or anything like that. So I'm kind of
I get it.
You get it?
Oh, I get it.
Are you with me, or are you one of those guys that just lets them land on you and all that crap?
No, I'm knocking the shit out of it. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out too. Hey, so a couple of Sundays ago, on our Sunday show, Chris Gibb and I, we got to talking, and late in the show, we started talking about what would happen. We thought it would be cool if the UAS went to treads or tried it for a race, like kind of made them mandatory. So, Gibber, let's kind of refresh on that, what we were talking about.
Well,
would the competition be better? I know. We're just talking. Don't.
No, it's all good. I mean, we all know. I mean, I don't want to say we all know, because that's a lot of the problem. So to say we all know how to go fast on slicks, we do not. So with dragging the newer generation on into speedway karting, when you say speedway karting, it has treads attached to it. Period. So with that, not because I'm a treads and tear-offs guy, I feel that dirt cars run on treaded tires. And I know there's a lot of guys say, well, that's not, we run on slicks and blah, 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 and you can't run a 206 on treads. Well, I'm sure that 100% of the people that are listening saw the video of that group of guys back east running on treads, doing slide jobs, ran 20 laps, doing slide jobs, and had one of the most fun races ever.
Mm-hmm.
And if that doesn't just clear the air of, are we really out there to say, okay, well, I'm faster than everybody else? Okay, good for you. Or are you looking for the guy that you drug up from next door neighbor, says, hey, dude, I see you're a kart racer. How do I get into it? How do you even explain to him tires? Ready, go.
Well, number one, personally, I would say you're a fool if you try to explain tires, because all you'll do is the guy will say, yeah, okay, forget it. I think it's kind of like we went back and we talked earlier in that show, was where you said, hey, it's time to open up our Star Wars books and help some of these guys. And that goes for the new people. Okay, let's just quickly go back a little bit. Okay, look at the Predator class, right? I mean, I get it. It's a way for, and I'm not saying you, but experienced guys can go out and they can get on a Predator, and it's fun to them because it's kind of it's kind of a no-brainer, right? It's just they can go, they don't have to think. They can just go race, which is sometimes kind of nice. Okay.
But guess what?
It ruins it. It ruins it for all the...
If you think you're going to go Clone, Predator, 212, any of those classes on slicks, stay home, because those dudes got it on lock, and you're just not going to be. I mean, yeah, I've raced karts for quite a few years, and I've got a 196, I got a 212, and if I'm going to where I can run it on tricks, because I want to be able to have the mechanical advantage, whether I have the advantage or not. I'm just using that as
right. I know, figure of speech,
layman's terms,
right?
To be able to adjust the race car, to be able to keep up or make up the difference of my stupidity of not knowing how to run a clone or a Glen. When I say clone, that's a 196 AKRA or a NorCal 212. Now, you tell me it's 196 and it's on a big track and it's open tires, I ain't going.
Well, I get that, but more importantly, Gibber, my point was, you can't have guys in the Predators. That's for beginners, and that's the same thing with tires. I mean, that's something that you said, well, man, guys, your neighbor says, hey, man, how do I get into it? Well, here's the deal. You can go down to Harbor Freight for $99. You can go get it, and you can go run against like individuals. But when you start...
And Terry, hey, listen. And Terry, who's he going to pit with on his first day out on trying to go-kart racing? He's going to pit next to whoever the guy was in the neighborhood, me. And he looks over at me, he goes, hey, dude, what are you doing to those tires? Hey, dude, don't worry about it. Put those turf savers on, you'll be fine.
I know. So all
of a sudden he makes it out, 3, 4, 6 times, doesn't have a big bankroll, and then all of a sudden he starts hearing that these guys got 6, 8 plus sets of tires, depending on where they're going. They're only bringing those 6 or 8 sets of tires to that track. That doesn't mean you're going to SoCal's tread or / tread track, slick track, or you're going to go to Castle Rock. So you're not putting these guys in the zip code of these guys to even have a chance. You could have the best guy ever to sit behind a steering wheel, and he's not even going to make the show. That's not fair.
Mm-hmm. You're right. It's not. And that's why, so much it's we need to make it more like you've got a go-kart, now go drive it, basically. And so what my point was is you can't have tires like that, the big tire deal, or you can't have guys that are super experienced down there running in the Predator class. I just don't think, both of those things are, to me, are what killing. I mean, when you're a beginner, you want to run against like people, right? It's just kind of like when Rotax first came out and all that, and you turned 16 and there was no more novice and there was no more,
Yep.
that stuff.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
now you're running against Stefanova and Jake Craig and all these guys. Who's going to last that? They're going to last 2 weekends after they get their fannies waxed, and they're going to say, I can't keep up with this. I mean, even with no prep, or even with it's crazy.
Nothing's more exciting or awesome for a new guy to show up, at least at our club, and say he runs Yamaha, and he comes out. He has to run. There is no prepping in SoCal. You get caught, you're bumped, you're gone. There's no talking about it. Well, my tires. No, you're gone. So this guy can show up out of the blue. He got some info from, I don't care if it was from me, Ronnie Cox, Gideon, my brother, and these guys give him some tread, direction on what they should do going forward, and race car choice. These guys can show up and put the oldest guy, me, put me on there and put me on the trailer, because guess what? The field is straight up mono-y-mono. There's no BS about it. So you want to go race against the guys that have been doing it. And you know what? Those guys get so much, oh, dude, I put whoever it is, I put Brody Rowe on the trailer. Huh, who doesn't want to do that? Well, he had the same opportunity as everybody else. Now, when it comes down to tires, and that ends up being obviously why we're talking about it, the common denominator, this guy wins because of the tires. And so here we go again. These guys go, well, should I drive 3 hours? And no, this guy's got 30 tires in his trailer, and I'm packing a lunch no matter what, and I'm finishing fifth back on treads because that's what I can afford. What do I do?
Right. I get it, Chris. I totally do. But my point was, you made in there, you said, Didion or you or your brother, give some tips. But what I'm talking about is, what happened to the days? I mean, what you want is, you want a beginner to go to a kart shop, get a go-kart, bolt a motor on it, and put tires on it, treads, slicks, whatever it is, and not even have any secrets with that. Just go race it.
Terry, I don't want to interrupt, but a huge part of our karting community is no more kart shops. So that is a big, huge problem for the guy you say locally here. I'll just use Yamaha of America as a go-to. Hey, these guys say, hey, where are you going? We're going to Adams. I'm going to run Yamaha open pipe, KT light or piston pour light. You run it on the pavement, regardless. We're talking back 1986-ish. Well, now you move to now. Well, if you had a kart shop that had, hey, this is what we run, but, and we run TX 22s all the way around, or 33 right side tires, and this is what we run. And we got a sniffer. Don't be mad if we come by with the sniffer and you're going really fast in practice, you go really fast through the heat race, and we come over and you melt down over it. You already know that we're looking for you. And I think when you get to that, or you go to a 15-pound right rear tire rule, I mean, there's so many things that you can now drag the new guy in, that this guy could be the best shoe ever, and nobody has ever seen him. And this guy gets good info from Cox, from me, from Didion, from a million good people that have, and this guy's smart enough to message them. They get this guy in the zip code. Again, us old guys, open up your Star Wars book, dude. Don't be so proud that you're not willing to help the new guy. Help him out and give it to him. And if this guy puts you on the trailer, you should get more. You should get more satisfaction out of that, because you're finally dragging new blood into the sport on what we really want to accomplish in the long run. Then do I really need to win another main event?
And you know what, Gibb? And I'm not even going to argue with that. I agree wholeheartedly to a point. I guess what I'm saying was one of the worst things that IKF ever did was they got rid of the novice class. I mean,
There you go.
the novice class
Yep.
everybody was pretty much the same. You were in your first year. Yeah, there were some standout guys. But you know what? There were no tire tricks. There were no, you didn't have to know
Gary,
anything.
we
You
had
bolt your
rookies.
tires on and you go run. And
Gary, we had rookies. I mean, there was classes for kids that was rookie junior. A rookie junior ran a Yamaha that was open pipe at 275 pounds. You know, Lee Hatch, my brother, Darren Law, Kurt Burris. These guys went out there and went. And by the way, they were going as fast as 100 Open was.
That's what I
no
mean.
joke.
Well, what about Junior 3, right? Junior 3 was like full opens on, I mean, they were stock appearing on gas and oil, but still
Yes.
at 265, I mean, they used to fly.
But the tires were the common denominator back then. Now you want to put a kid at 265 in a 131 to go run junior UAS. I don't want to watch that.
No.
Myself.
No. I mean, no, but I guess my point is sometimes we've made it so difficult. I mean, I'm saying really it should just be here's the deal. Here's what tires we run. Like, I don't know, way back in the day, like the 703 Burris, right? They spark now, but everybody had those. That was it. You know, and you know, if you had new tires, you had new tires. But if you didn't, everybody was still on the same tire. So a novice guy was running against other novice guys. Yeah, some were better than the other, but still they were within their first year. Most of them were pretty equal. The guys that want to do the work, do the work. But when you go, and that'd be like taking them and say, well, we don't have a novice class, but you got to go run stock light against Gibb and Dennis Hall and all these guys. You know, it's crazy.
Terry, check it out. Each manufacturer could give you a zip code of where their tires come out of the mold, and they give you a sniffer number, and that's it. Now I get it. People say, "Oh well, this guy's got sodium chloride, and this guy's got soap." Okay, let's not kid ourselves. We're not looking for that. When the meter goes through the roof, we're going to find you. So if the tire manufacturers had some zip codes of the classes they ran, whether it was, again, I agree. When Joe started to run and we wanted to run Yamaha, can't. But yet we could run open on his age group. Well, so, you know, we brought an air-cooled open out, and everybody got upset. Well, we don't have enough people in our club, so he's going to run with UAS. Well, I get it. We didn't sign up for UAS, but you also can't slow down kids. And not that my kid is Kyle Larson, by no means. I'm just saying, don't slow down kids that have some type of talent because they're stuck running a can or a restricted clone. You're not going to move them along fast enough. We want those guys to be the Ryan Diottis of the bunch. You know what I mean? The fast guys, the Eric Stansberrys, all the guys that go really fast in UAS, those guys learn to go fast at a young age.
See,
now there's going to be the ones that can't. Well, if we teach them at a young age, listen, we're not cheating. We're going to run on treads. You're going to learn to drive a car that's loose. Yeah, it sucks. Well, Dad, why don't I put these slick tires on and go fast? Hey, I was 110% with my kid chewing my face off, wanting to go fast. Hey, I get it, but that's not what we do. And so now moving forward to 2020, if we somehow don't, I'm not saying you got to go tread racing. I'm saying that somewhere along the line that we're not going to bring in new blood to do it. If we look at the Midwest and those guys back there, I get it. Everybody else say, well, look at us. We got clone medium and we got, 75 entries. Okay. What's the difference of that?
Money.
Or maybe
money.
It's money. And you might have 150 entries if everybody had 33As or a 3355 right rear like QRC does, and we're going to run a sniffer, and we're going to do it, before each heat race through the first 4 rows. And these guys are going to start thinking about it. I'm not looking to put anybody out of business because of tire prep. And that's the hard part, is guys have now make their living on cut tires and where they run. And I'm not looking to do that.
Well,
I'm looking to try to take a guy that lives next door and have him say, hey, I see you guys race karts. How do I get this guy in and have him not come around the block after his 3rd race and said, I thought you said.
Right. I agree. I'm not, man, you're 100% right. What I'm saying is there needs to be a novice class where, you're not going and running against Austin Yarboroughs just because you're 16 or 18 years old. There needs to be like a senior novice where you got to be new, or you got to, you can't have a zillion rate. I mean,
you could be totally on. I think that's a great, to me, what you're bringing up, that's a phenomenal idea. If you brought a novice class in for guys, you guys are going to run on 33s all the way around, treaded tires.
Yep.
Well, I got news for you. I still have 33s that are 8 years old that I run now. So don't tell me you can't do it, because you can. So now all of a sudden these guys, they the best part about it is they now have to learn the mechanics of the race car. How much lead do you run? How much stagger do you run? How much cross do you run? How much rear weight do you run?
Yes.
You start making them understand the mechanics of the car. Forget about the tires. Put that away.
Amen.
And then when they do get into, say, UAS, that's open as open gets, these guys are like, okay, I get it. I got to run. Track starts going through. You walk out with your Phillips screwdriver. You push it down in the dirt. You figure how wet it is. You start making these calls. These guys got a little bit of background, but right now it's like, hey, dude, here's your brand new UAS car because you own a Ferrari and you think you're going to go win a go-kart race. I got news for you, dude. You're going home. It ain't happening. So you want to, again, the education I think is pinnacle. I also, again, I say local kart shops are no more. And that is absolutely been terrible, not just for Speedway, for Sprint, and obviously Road Race is trying to make a comeback, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to see it because I'd love to go road racing. But you also got to have a kart shop that you can walk into, and the guy or the gal at the door says, oh, no. This is the clutch. This is the gear ratio. This is the clutch oil. This is what you want. If you run it, Sears Point, we run in this gear ratio in a Yamaha, slippy pipe. If you
but
have
Gibb, check this out. If you're looking at your computer, look at what Santiago says. He says, I don't usually get on here, but I made a class for clones in the South Carolina area. I did it just to help beginners or low-budget drivers. I had 15 engines, completely stock, all numbered, sealed with the same clutch, oil, and gear, even gas initially. And we had to run on ELs, no prep, but they didn't want to, so I had to give up on this. See, so that's where it is. See, it's so...
I know. I get it. But again, hold on one second. Santiago, I want to say I'm stoked that you're trying to do this, but it's not a one-man band. We all have to do it, and we all have to say, if we're going to have a rookie class, and I don't care if rookie is, a clone class. Joe's now wife, she didn't have nowhere to run. She had to be thrown into go run clone. And, she's 98 pounds and she has to go now compete against these guys that run clone. Luckily we run treads. That kind of slows down the learning curve, but you're not going to drag your neighbor in if he doesn't have at least have a little bit of inkling that, hey dude, I can run there's 40 guys and I finished 15th. That's a win. That's a win for a new guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. That's what I mean, especially when you're running against people of your own. I mean, typically when you get in the novice class, everybody's in the same boat. They're brand new. They got a year. Now nobody learns their go-kart. All they learn is tires. They don't even
Well, no.
I'll bet if you
Yes.
polled 80% of them,
You just did
90% of them, even the veterans,
Well,
a lot of them can't
just
tell
did
you
it.
why a go-kart, how a chassis is
No.
designed to actually work.
No, if you ask somebody what Ackerman gain is, I guarantee you 100% of the people don't know about what Ackerman gain is.
Well, Gibb, look at when we started.
And they don't know scrub radius. So all these things that the old guys know, and the reasons why they still at this point go way faster than the young guys.
But Gibb, when I first started, I mean, I wasn't on the dirt, but I did the sprint thing. Man, we had open pipes. We had Burco clutches. There was no Horseman back then. So you had to learn. You learned your flex, what longer meant and shorter meant, and how to put weight on the clutch and take it off, and if it was hooking right. I mean, we didn't really screw with the chassis like they do now. But I mean, what I'm saying is, you learned go-karting. It wasn't just tires. You had to learn. You had to understand your pipe. You had to understand how to tune your carburetor. None of that really exists now. I mean, it's all either you know or you don't.
But the two-stroke thing, I get it. It's now going. It's not gaining speed. It's going backwards. And okay, just roll with it. If that's what it is, that's what it is. That's still, whether you love to run a two-stroke or you love to run a four-stroke, I don't care if it's UAS or UAS Junior or a stock appearing where you can run a...
Well, what happened to our air class that we were going to do? Remember? You had talked about it. We were going to have air-cooled only. It was going to be, I don't know. I don't even know if it was open that we were talking about, but, I mean...
Yeah. And again, there's probably more people that would... and when I say more people, it's old guys. But if a guy went online and he bought himself a go-kart, he didn't know what he bought. Say he bought a 87 Proline Pro and it had a K30 on it. He knew nothing about it and he bought this thing for $700. If he called the right people, he could have a Monroe car or a SoCal car, depending on his zip code or where he lives.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's got something that can stomp people, but he needs to know how to make it go.
That's correct.
Those people are out there, and that's why I beat down us old guys that open up your Star Wars book, dude, and really work with them. Even the clone guys, a lot of us aren't clone guys, but unfortunately, there's not a lot to the motor because the car itself and the class, it revolves around the tires. So I don't want to be a dick about it, but everybody can say I'm wrong. Well, let me know or show me differently, because that's the truth of it. If you made clone open, look at limited modified that runs. The guys that run limited modified, it's the same 5 guys up front. You know why? Because the motor builders and the guy driving it knows how to tune it. Well, that's no different than running 100 open at Spring Run back in 1990. You had to know how to tune it. So
Santiago's made a great point. He says, there needs to be room for beginners. They shouldn't allow experienced guys running in those classes.
Agreed.
Money messes up everything. Keep the money off of those beginner classes.
I agree.
That's what needs to happen. There's just too much.
But I also think that the old guys with the Star Wars book, I know we're all busy and we're working on our own shit and doing what we're doing, but we need to open ourselves up a little bit, not a lot, but help these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the region you're in, if you're going to Monroe, the Monroe guys, they probably need some help. I look at who wins at Monroe. It's the same guy.
Levi
I
Harless.
don't even
Levi or Ronnie, when he gets up there.
I don't even race up there. I know if Ronnie's going to go to Monroe, he's running in the front. It's the oldest guy of the group with the most experience. What does that tell you? So if you don't open it up and start teaching these guys to try to get there, your turnout is going to slow down also. It's no disrespect to the guys that own Star Wars book. Ronnie knows, my brother knows, a lot of us know of how to do it on tread. Again, Ronnie came to SoCal back when we had our pro race. That was one of the biggest quarter point UAS races ever. Ronnie's probably listening. Hands down, there was 4 flights. So on top of qualifying and running on tread, I didn't get one guy to say that was not beyond fun. And guess what? Yeah, you had to be on treads. Was it easy? No. Did Ronnie Cox have it won? Absolutely. If Wayne's listening, Ronnie had him on wax. He broke a reed. Bottom line, I was race director. I watched it from every lap, and I'm watching the first 2 guys getting it on. But you know how fun it was to watch 2 guys backing it in at the flag stand after one another, really driving the piss out of this race car to make it happen? I got news for you. There's nothing better, period. And I didn't want to be race director for that event, trust me. But I got called in to do it, and I parked my own stuff to go be race director. And to watch it, it was killer. And there was nobody amongst the whole group when it was over with. Obviously, there's a few people that are sour because it never works out in everybody's favor. I understand. But from a spectator's point of view, to watch that many dudes on treads, backing in and getting it on and going for it, it was killer. Killer.
That is killer. Well, dude,
I just
go ahead.
I want to see that as the sport is called speedway. It's not called pavement road. It's not called pavement oval. So that we can either let it keep going the way it goes, or like you said, Terry, we involve in a novice class where the novice guys, and maybe it's not just novice, we run air-cooled open up to 150 cc's on treads. And you start bringing these old motors out that everybody has them sitting on the bench. Let's be clear on that.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden, these guys are like, okay, I can put the UAS car together. God knows how long that takes. Trust me, I know. Or I can put my tread car together and go run the air-cooled class on treads and tear-offs. And you know what? And you might not know you might not know how the track's going to be prepped, because what's going to happen then? Oh, well, you guys prepped it for the tread guys. Nobody said that.
Right. Gibber, I got to get Rocket on here, but we need to continue this on Sunday. This is going to be, and you know what? And I need to make sure Chris C is listening and all these guys, because this is really something, Gibber, that I think is feasible. I mean, I'm with you, man. I can see this. I can see this being huge. And don't get me wrong. I'm like you. I love the UAS. I bleed UAS. I love it.
Too.
I love
Me
it.
Too.
I don't care.
Yep.
Slicks, treads, whatever. I love the UAS. This is not my point here. My point here is we need numbers. And especially out here with us. Okay, the clones, they're covered. They're running for 10 grand, 15 grand, but you know what that is? That's the tire guys just remaking their money back.
But I'll tell you what, Terry, we had huge numbers back in 92, 94 when, the tire prep thing was just kind of getting going. So you would win either and or on treads and or on slicks. It's the prep that screws it up.
Yep.
So you can go to Hanford now and win on slicks, and or you can win on treads. So again, I'm not looking to put anybody out of business whatsoever, and I don't want anybody to hate me because of that. My point is that the entries at a local level are down because of the newbies that come in. They hear what has to go on to go and compete against the group that they're competing against. They go, forget it. I'm going to Taco Bell. I'm going to go have some tacos.
Yeah. People want to come out and have fun. They don't want to have to go to work after going to work all weekend, all week.
Yeah.
So I get it, man. Let's finish this on. Seriously, I was just out of town, but let's finish this on Sunday.
All right.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right, man. I got to get rocking on here.
You got it. Take care, man.
Thanks, Gibber. Love you, man.
Take care.
Okay.
Take care. Hope everybody's safe with the whole COVID thing, and love you guys.
Love you too, man.
Yeah.
You're awesome. Thanks, Chris Gibb.
You got it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. We'll be back. The Rocket, Ronnie Cox, going to be with us here right after this short break. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. If you're serious about racing, you're constantly looking for an edge. A tenth here, a pound there. It's a nonstop pursuit to find a quicker way around the racetrack. See High Performance believes to beat the racetrack, you must become the racetrack. And that is the thought process behind all of their innovative speed products. From their line of Superfly bodies and wings to the latest dual-disc center vane Super Brake, it's all about finding a quicker way around the racetrack. With 45 years of innovation, See High Performance is dedicated to helping racers of all skill levels find an edge. Whether it's horsepower tuning, chassis dialing, or tire science, it's their commitment to innovation that sets them apart from the rest. Innovation is not what is, it's always been about what can be. So be all you can be with the integrity, innovation, and inspiration of C High Performance. Shop online 24/7 at chighperformance.com. Oh, we're back! Winning Wednesday! We got UAS Administrator, the Rocket, Ronnie Cox with us. What's up, Rocket?
Yo, what's going on? Good talking here. This is I like listening to this stuff. It's cool.
It is cool, man. And Gibber's got some. Honestly, I've been reading. I'm Santiago. I just want to say thank you for tuning in, man. Your chimes have been really spot on. I'm in agreement with you. Because Ronnie, you were back in the even. I know you didn't do a lot of sprint and stuff, but even back in the day, they had a novice class. They had an open class, like Stock Light was more the kind of the hot dogs, even though they were Yamahas. And there's just no place for beginners to go anymore without having to run against guys like you and all that. And is that a bad thing? I don't think it is. But guys first starting, they want to get a taste of winning, and they don't want to go out and get their fannies whipped every week. And that's where I'm at with this whole thing. Is I'd like to see a class where even when with the Predators, right? You had Weber and you had Shane, and I'm not saying those guys went in there to take anything from anybody, but really they didn't belong in there. And,
Well, I'll tell you what the hot ticket is around here lately. I can't speak for down south or wherever, but around here is everybody's looking for straight rails with the Predators on them. And there's a handful of guys up north that have built, the Strebe Speedway type tracks, and they got some property, 5 acres, and they go build a track. And there's a couple of them, Hilltop and
that's Ryan Ostrom, right? You got Ryan Ostrom. And then Daniel Hoppy he calls that one Fly Job. And then, Jeff Pearson has Flatlands, which is running this Friday. And they're all just, kind of like Strebe Speedway type deal in their backyard, low key. And dude, every single day I'm getting a phone call or a message or somebody's looking for an old straight rail, a Predator, tires. It's crazy. They've actually been racing. They had a race last Friday night up there. 23 guys showed up. Straight rails with Predator. Yeah, and Rocket, you've been the full gamut. You started, Oakwood days and all that, but you've been to national events all over the country. And then you come home, you load up your pickup on Sunday and you go to Strebe or you go to Joe Constance's place or you go to, Ryan. You tell me. Every time I've talked to you, you said it was an absolute blast.
Yeah, it is, just because I mean, that's, my first racing stuff was way back in the early mid '80s there at Monroe. But, once I figured out about Strebe and some of these backyard deals that just for fun, I mean, me and Chuck talk about it all the time. I mean, we race all over the country, and we come home and go up to Strebe Speedway or over to Joe's or up to Hilltop or, these backyard. And we honestly, we probably have more fun doing that than we do, anywhere else, just because it's so laid back and it's more, I mean, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but it's more like how it should be, kind of a thing where it's like, everybody's helping each other and it's just kind of a good atmosphere, and it's not so serious. Like when you go into some of these UAS races and there's all these points on the line and money and, and it's just, I don't know. We go up to Strebe and I have more fun there probably than any place we go. And you've been there. I mean, it's just nothing. It's just a track in some guy's backyard, but it's organized and they have, good races up there, and it's, they're just little Raptor motors, but they all run treads and we pull tear-offs, and it's just good fun.
Yeah. Hey, Jordan Stott's in the house. What's up, Jordan? He's a UAS standout, pretty good one, builds his own chassis and stuff. But, yeah, man. So before we get too carried away, I want to ask you, because there's all this COVID stuff and everything, there's been a lot of posts on Facebook from the Grand National Committee, and I know Chris C. put a post up wanting to move it to Georgia because they were going to be open. I mean, I know you can't speak for everybody because, just the administrators vote, but can you kind of tell us what you do know about what's going on with the Nationals?
Well, there's a chat thing going around, a private chat with all the UAS National Committee guys, all the administrators, Mark, everybody that's kind of in the know of the UAS stuff. And nobody's made any decisions or anything yet. They're just, they're trying to come up. They're thinking ahead a little bit, and they got a few options, and they're just trying to get, all the administrators to see where everybody's, where everybody stands for their region. And, because there's a lot of regions, and some of the places, they're not sure if they're going to be able to have races. There's already a couple of, Georgia and Florida, they already had races before all this went down. And, they're just trying to feel out what, where everybody stands on everything and trying to get different opinions and ideas and things. And they haven't made a decision yet. But from what I've gathered, there's a few options. They have, A, canceling it altogether, which I don't think is going to happen. Or B, keeping it, just keep it how it is, and whoever, because it's, it's the national UAS national deal. That's the marquee event for UAS stuff, and they want to make sure that it holds up to, and I don't blame them. They want to make sure it holds up to the reputation that it's, that it upholds. And
absolutely. So, well, your tire guy Steve Sharpley said Georgia, South Carolina, he says are in now. I mean, they're open. I think, and Kelso said Missouri's open now too. Stotts says I'm ready for one of those treaded tire races.
Yeah, no kidding.
Dude. So I mean, really quick, how cool would it be if UAS? I mean, the cage carts are on treads. Well, how cool would it be? How cool would it be to have the UAS guys on treads? I mean,
right now, I mean, UAS is open tire. There's nothing preventing anybody from running a treaded tire. You can show up to UAS racing on a treaded tire.
But it's monkey see, monkey do, right? Nobody's going to show up on treads.
Yeah, exactly. But, it would be kind of cool. And we've had, there's been a few races over the years where, that one that Chris was talking about down at Paris that one time, there was a whole bunch of us all showed up, and that was specific. It was a quarter point race. And that particular track that night, treads were the ticket, and that was the deal. And we've had a few over the years. I know I won one at Rainier 2-3 years ago with my old,
I was there. I was there. Yeah.
Yeah. The track conditions that day were kind of not the best, but I had my old Invader there with the Saddam on it and some treads, and we got that one. But, even last year at that Montana race, it was kind of a borderline deal of, between treads and slicks. And
would you have been faster with your Sudam there?
Where, at Montana?
Yeah. Would your Sudama on treads, would it have hung, you think?
I don't know, but hard to say. But if you're giving me the option, if I had both of them sitting there, I would have went out with Sudama and treads on. I don't know if it would have been faster, but I don't know. And it was funny that day we were pitting right next there. All the cage cart guys were there, and they were all looking at us because they'd never had UAS carts there before. They run strictly cage carts there. And then, there was a handful of us that showed up. We were pitting right next to one guy there that had a cage cart, and we were getting ready to go out for the main. And he was looking at things, and he goes, "I can't believe y'all run slicks." He goes, "You need to get some treads."
Yeah.
And at that point, the track was so dry and slick. And I just kind of made the comment. I go, "Well, if I had a set, I'd probably run them right now." And he goes, "Oh, I got a couple, 2-3 sets." I mean, we're like 5 minutes from pushing up to the grid. And he was going to give me a set. And I actually thought about it for a minute. And then I was like, no, I didn't want to.
Well,
we'd already made a bunch of changes and stuff.
Do you know what would happen, though? This is what I believe would happen. Let's just say, for example, you went out and you ran treads on, right? If you went out and won, it's like, you look at the big cars like Bloomquist and all that, right? Everybody's hiking up the left front and all that. It's rolling over. And if Bloomquist went out there with a flat car where all 4 tires were on the ground and went out and waxed them, guess what everybody'd have next week?
Yep.
Right?
Well, that's a lot of it. It's like, that's in any kind of racing, whether it's carts or big cars or anything. Monkey see, monkey do. Some guys, waxes everybody and he's running his helmet backwards. Maybe he knows something we don't. I mean, it's just how, that's just how racing is in nature. Everybody monkey see, monkey do.
Well, okay, so like say at BK. I mean, I know you've never. Well, maybe you have. I don't know, but could
I've ran treads there
on your UAS ride?
No. Years and years ago, when Salem still first opened up, I went down there with a Saddam, and me and Nick Frost went down there one time.
That we know. You know that because that's what you've been running for years.
Yeah.
But what about today's, like, what would I mean, how would what do you think would happen if everybody was,
well,
and not that you made it mandatory, but I mean,
no, I mean, if the right guy shows up that knows his slicks, I don't think it would be a contest. I mean, the right guys there that knows how to make his slicks work. I mean, slicks are, I mean, you saw the Open KT main at the BK this year. There was 21 cars. There was 2 of us on slicks, and the rest of them were on treads. And you were gone, dude. I mean, it was like there's no I mean, with the right conditions, I mean, slicks are faster. But I'm not knocking either one. I see both sides of it, but I'm just saying it. As far as Salem goes with treads, in my opinion, I mean, I don't think they would be competitive if the right guy's there that knows his tires with slicks.
Right.
So
would it be more competitive though if, let's just say, and this is hypothetical, but let's just say you had to run treads? Would it be a better race?
Personally, I think I think it would be. It would put it back in the hands of the drivers. Nowadays it's so much about the tires, especially with UAS and the open stuff. One guy gets his tires right, even if he doesn't have the biggest motor. I mean, you guys get your tires right, and you're just gone. And in my opinion, if it was a treaded only deal, it would put some of the racing back into the hands of the drivers.
And you know what?
Which I would be all about that personally, because
that's the way it should be, dude. That's the way it should be.
That's how it's a lot of the racing nowadays, is not taking anything away from any of the drivers or anything. I'm just saying, if a guy knows his tires or has a tire guy that knows tires,
correct,
and gets his tires right, it's game over. I mean,
personally,
it's hard to beat.
Personally, it's a learning curve that really shouldn't have to be there. I mean, I think more guys know more about tires than they really know how to set up their go-kart. And for me, I see both sides of it. I mean, everybody knows. I was a treads and tear-offs guy. I still am. I mean, I love, up until this UAS thing started,
I didn't even own any slicks. I mean, I was a treaded guy through and through. I mean, all the Oakwood days when we'd go race anywhere, I'd tread all the time. But for me personally, nowadays, I know and I understand the prep thing. Just, I don't agree with it, but unfortunately it's here and it ain't going nowhere. And I just, for me personally, I like the challenge of it, but I like the other side of it. I like the treads and the tear-off deal too. But as far as the slicks and the prep goes, you got to have your stuff right, and I like the challenge of that also.
Right, and you know what? And I got to say, and I'm with you. I'm not trying to put prep guys out of business. I'm not trying to tell Mark Bergfeld that he's not doing something good. But what I'm saying is, I think. I would love to see, even if it wasn't a Grand National, I'd just like to see a huge, like a UAS tread nationals or something, man.
the treaded, yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool? Or maybe even something
I'd be the first one in line. I tell you that.
or even at the Grands, wouldn't that be kind of a cool deal? Like maybe once I know they can't really do it because of time and all that stuff, but wouldn't it be cool if you could crown the national champion and then the next day, those that wanted to stay, hey, we're having a UAS treads and tear-off national just to see what's going on. I just think that would be cool.
Soon as it's all over, everybody take your tires off and put treads on. We're going to run it again.
Yep, and you're on the gentleman's agreement. No nothing. Here's the tires. Boom. Here, you know what I mean?
Right.
I just think
just to give you a little heads up, like I don't know if you read all the stuff that went on last week, but I was talking a little bit about all the tracks up north that they've got going, these kind of backyard type deals where everybody's getting the Predators and the straight rails and stuff. Well, last Friday night up at Hoppy's place at Slide Job, there was like 20 some guys show up. Well, he made it a deal to where slicks only. We're going to run one race where tonight everybody's got to run slicks. And his intention was because they've been having a lot of problem with the track tearing up. So we're going to put slicks on and everybody's going to run slicks. That'll slow the cars down a little bit and it'll help keep the track together. So they all showed up and ran slicks. And I guess it went pretty good because all 4 tracks up north got together and now it's slicks only on all them tracks. So they all went to slicks, and immediately, I got I know Kevin White and a few other people, everybody's, they're going to run slicks because A, it'll slow everybody down, and B, it'll help hold the track. It won't tear the track up so much. Because a lot of the backyard tracks, they don't have the equipment to, do the premier track prep. They just kind of do it with their own little. Right. Some guys got some quads and a little drag that they make or something.
They're not putting sodium, the calcium in there and all that?
No,
I'm just kidding. Well, and I hear Kevin here put a track in too, I guess.
Yep, Kevin here. Yep, he got one. I know Eric Fisher's got one up at his house, and Pearson's got one, Jeff Pearson.
I don't know how big it is, but the Millers put one in at their house.
Yeah. All the ones up north are
Steve Miller and all them, yeah.
Yeah. All the ones up north are about Strebe Speedway size, a little bit bigger. I know Hilltop is, a little bit bigger than that. It's, it's more like the Monroe type size with quite a bit of banking and stuff. So
when you heard it was slicks only, you kind of went, oh man.
Yeah. Yeah. And the funny part is none of them know nothing about prep. And I'm like, all right, when's the next race? I'll be on my way. But unfortunately, they run. Literally, just when I was listening to the first part of the show, and Chris was talking, I had a guy message me, "He's coming over tomorrow. He needs 4 or 5 slicks," and because I told him I had a whole bunch of Hoosier takeoffs. But yeah, they're all going to switch over to the slick deal, and a lot of guys, it's the same thing. When there's change, immediately all that, there was a bunch of stuff on Facebook and it all blew up and, well, I'm out, everybody's out. If we're going to slicks, I'm out, but of course they say they're out, but then they call an hour later looking, you got any slicks?
I know.
They're all looking for stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. They're all out until they realize that they're, okay, well, if I'm out, then where else am I going to race?
Right.
I can either go buy a used set of slicks and race, or I can be stubborn and so I get it. I get both sides of it. If it was up to me, if I had a track in my backyard, it'd be tread for sure. and a minimum of 10 tear-offs on your helmet. and I'd be out there with a sprinkler and a hose going full bore. But I've done all of them. I've done, tread, slicks, whatever. I enjoy. I'm kind of a rare. I don't know what the right word is, but I enjoy all of it. I like the streamy, the backyard, the whatever. I enjoy the competition and trying to get your tires right and stuff that the UAS provides with, I don't always agree with all the prep, and it can be very frustrating, but I do enjoy, it's very competitive, and I like that,
Right.
So.
Yeah, definitely. And like at a normal UAS race, when you win it, you've done something, man. Because
you pound on your chest and go, yeah.
I know. I know.
Yeah, it feels good.
Absolutely, it does, man. It sure does. Well, I bet you got that 450 on that slack now, don't you?
Yeah. Well, that's been the thing I've had for a while. We actually been, during all this downtime, we've been building another car with a BRC on it. So we've got a couple 450s, and now we got a BRC cart. So
now I just got to ask you. It may be secret, and you don't have to tell me if you don't want to. But is that BRC on the Yamaha Open that you ran at Salem?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man.
No, there's nothing to hide there. That's my favorite car. Dude, I've driven
Now, you told me, I remember it was like 2 seasons ago, you were running a slack at ORV. And you said, man, I love this slack because it's like he says, I don't know. You go, I don't know. It's like that old pair of cowboy boots that you got that just fit, right?
Right.
They're just good. Is this the same car as that, or is it a different one?
Well, we have 2 of them now, but they're the exact same.
Okay.
They're the exact same. So, yeah, Chuck bought that car, and he was going to run when ORV first got going there, and they had that stock 4-cycle class or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and we had a Ultramax or whatever for the UAS car, but he bought a slack and an animal motor, and he was just running that. Well, that one day him and Rossmeyer got all crashed up, and he messed up his ribs. And so the next day, it was a 2-day deal, and the next day he's like, why don't you run it? So I signed up for stock animal with that deal, and I got in that thing, and I'm like, man, this thing just, I've driven hundreds of these things, and this one just has a feel to it that's, And so we let it go for a little while, and then we ended up putting the UAS motor on there, and then we start, we won a bunch of races there at ORV for a couple of years, and we liked it so much we came across my buddy of ours back east, John Keister, the kart shop back east.
Well,
and
go ahead.
We found another cart, the exact same. It just exact same one. It just needed a couple parts to it or whatever, and he shipped it out here, and we put a Yamaha on it. And I took that thing to Castle Rock a couple times. I'm like, man, this thing is just so flipping good. The first couple times we ran it, we had some motor issues with the Yamaha thing. Wasn't kart's deal. It was just we had a couple little motor issues, but we finally got the bugs worked out of it, and then went to, we had it at King of the Castle last year, and I felt like, I don't know if we'd have held Passanetti off or what, but we drove off on the start of that deal at King of the Castle, and I felt like we were good to go, but I don't know if Passanetti would have caught me or not. But anyway, we had a mistake that we made. We had a problem in pre-tech with the gas tank because our fuel wasn't passing tech. And so I bought new fuel, new this, that, and the other thing, still wouldn't pass tech. So I came to the conclusion that our gas tank was contaminated. So we ran both the heats the way it was, and the thing ran fine. Came from the back of one and got second, won the other one, which put us on the front row for the main. Well, right before the main, we decided to swap out gas tanks, and I'm not exactly sure that the thing didn't have the breather hose on the top, and it just, I don't know if it vapor locked or what, but ran perfect for 5, 6, 7 laps there, and I was just setting sail, and then it just died off. And then that's the same car that we took to BK this year with the Open Yamaha that we won that class with. So I just out of all the cars I've driven 100 of them things or more, and that car is just thing just has a feel to it that is just ridiculous. So,
man, I got to just say this: my buddy Jack Ryan is on here. I don't know if you can see his post, but Jack Ryan's on here. Man, he was my basketball teammate back in 1983. We played junior college together. Good to see you, Jack. This guy is, man, you talk about super handles, man. This guy had some ridiculous handles with a basketball. Anyway, I know we're talking racing, but still. Derek Wallace says, gave Fernandez a set of treads one night at Atwater. He picked up over half a second and picked up the win. And then Sharpley says, still can prep a tread to go fast. So, I mean, where does it end? I mean, there's just
right.
Stott
the funny thing is all those
Stott
years,
says, sign me up. He's ready to go tread racing, man.
All those years back at Oakwood, we started going there in the late 80s, and I mean, I raced every race there all through the 90s and stuff, and I never prepped a tire once. I didn't even know what to put on the tires back then. I mean, I just got treads and I'd clean them up with a wire brush, and I'd never prepped one tire ever at Oakwood, ever.
Well,
all them years.
But Rocket, but that's what I'm saying is guys learned. You had to dial. I mean, you could move tires in and out. You could play with offsets.
Right.
You could do all that. I mean, you learned how to make your cart work. I mean, and then, okay. Here's what happened. So I'm talking to Chris C. and I'm saying, man, I don't like this prep. I think it's whatever. And he says, well, here's the deal. We put all this stuff and we make all these carts adjustable so they'll sell. He says, do we need all those adjustments? No. He says, we know where the cart's supposed to be. So
right.
We want to go faster. So what do? We know where the carts are supposed to be. We're going to play with tires. And so we don't want to slow down. We want to speed up. Well, and I've said this a million times. What racing is, right? It's you're always looking to technology, and you're always advancing, and that's just part of the deal. But in the same breath, that same technology is what's killing it. I mean, it's that's we used to what? Look, okay, when you used to race at Oakwood, what? There was easily over 100 guys there. Right?
Oh, there was
more than that.
Many times where there was.
I mean, yeah. So now we go to a UAS race. I mean, I remember when you guys went back to Missouri, wherever that was, when they crowned Wayne the king and all that, right?
Yeah, that was Missouri.
Yeah, and when we first started kind of going back there, and when they said, oh yeah, there was like 50 guys there, or 55 guys, I said, at a national? I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was expecting 100 or 200, but then when they said, well, it was just the UAS, so I guess 55 is really good if you're talking one class. But
sure, because UAS is a different kind of a. I mean, I don't know. It's not club race. It's a national deal, So you have a national event in Missouri or Florida or Arizona, wherever. I mean, you're not going to draw everybody from all over the country.
You're right.
It takes a monumental effort to get your junk all the way across the country in a truck or what. I mean, that deal in Missouri. I mean, if it wasn't for Markham hauling all our stuff out, I mean, it takes a lot of effort to that. So when somebody, to me, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but for me personally, when somebody says there are 50 UAS guys at a national, to me, that's a good turnout. I mean, it might not be 100, but you can bet out of those 50, 45 of them are probably top flight guys, So I'd rather run a 50 person deal with, all top flight guys than 100 with just I mean, I want to, the national event's supposed to be the best guys,
Yep.
So,
yep. Well, I mean, I don't know how many UAS guys are there registered. I mean, there's well over 100, right? I mean, there's 100. 120
throughout the.
Yeah, it's just a shame that there isn't some way. But like you said, there's no way everybody's going to go. But
no.
Then again,
everybody's on different budgets and different agendas and time frames, and it doesn't. You ain't going to get all them people. It doesn't matter where they have it. You ain't going to get everybody to,
But let me ask you this then. Let's just say, for example, the way it is now, it's like, okay, you win 2 quarter points, you get to go, right? And you've won both of them. You go with 200, and Stotts wins 2, and he shows up with 200, and Renee went, like we did. She wins one up here and then struggles and goes down to Lodi, and she wins one, and so now she's got 200. So, but wouldn't it just be like the IKF Grands? When you showed up, you had to run a spring national or something like that to qualify. But there were no points. So whoever won the national championship won the national championship. He was the national champ. It didn't matter. It didn't matter about points. It was like whoever won that. And I think to some degree that kind of most people say, well, crap, I did crappy in these 2 years. I'm not going to go. What's the point? I can't, Well, maybe if that was different and it wasn't all based off of points, maybe you might have more. I don't know. I've just thought about that many times. We're thinking, kind of like they were talking about doing this year. The National's the National. Whoever wins it.
Yeah, and that's one of the options too. They might do something to that effect of just having a big race, right.
and that might be one of the silver linings in this whole deal, where they say, you know what, this was cooler than as if you have these points. It's a deciding factor. I mean, whoever look at J.W. Falk. I didn't even know who he was in Florida.
Yeah, I'd never heard of him either. Yeah, but he was bloody
fast. God, bloody fast.
That thing was ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, who was it? Was it Browning that won it?
The points deal?
Yeah.
No, that was no. It was
Matt
Bird. Matt Bird.
Yeah. So Matt Bird wins it, but I mean, so Falk goes and wins it, but it's all overshadowed by the fact that yes,
he didn't run any of his regional stuff and have enough points.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, it's one of those deals. I mean, and that's
I know, but if you got to think about it the other way too. Is if you do it that way, then any Joe, and there's nothing wrong with this. I'm just saying, but if you did it that way, then any Joe Blow could just be laying back there in the weeds and show up on that day, and if doing it the way you're talking about, and just lay the wood to everybody and be national champion, not have to do anything. And there's all these other guys that have invested, tons of time, tons of money, tires, went to all these races to do this stuff. And there's some other, Joe Blow that just shows up, boom, lays it on everybody, and he's the champ. Like who, what, where, when? I think that it would take away from the people that work hard, and do the traveling and go to the points races, and it, I don't know. Like, I mean, you saw what happened when, like, for example, when they had the Nationals a few years ago, when they had them in Phoenix, what it did to our region. I mean, we only had the year before Phoenix, I think we had about 7-8 members total, paid UAS members. They announced next year, Grand Nationals, Phoenix, Arizona. We went from like 7 or 8 to like 18 paid members.
Wow.
Just because everybody can realistically think, well, Arizona, even though I don't get it because that's still a long ways away too, but Arizona sounds close, but it's really not any closer than going to Missouri. I mean, but you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I see.
But like when they announce when it's in Florida, or like last year it was in Florida, the year before it was in Pennsylvania, your average person around here, that's not realistic. Phoenix, that's realistic. They can, that sounds legit. But, the average guy probably isn't going to be able to go from Seattle, Washington to Jasper, Florida. It ain't going to happen.
So let's just say this then, for example. What if they said tomorrow that Spokane was going to get it? Does that mean do you think Tim Lawrence is going to put one together to be there? Do you think
but it would jack our region right through the roof.
Would it?
Dude, it would totally jack it through the roof around here. Anywhere on the West Coast, whether they had it at, somebody brought that up. There was a big thread about that just last week. And I think Jason had mentioned Cycleland, and, everybody that chimed in, of course, wants their home track to be where the Nationals are. But the theme of the deal was West Coast,
right.
Supposed to go West
right.
Coast 2021. And so, and I'll say it, there's people, we got a group together and we're working on something. We can't say anything yet, but it kind of depends how nobody knows what's going to happen this year. Because
Right.
obviously if this year gets canceled, it would only be right to have it, the place that put in their deal and their time and stuff at Wheelersburg should get it next year. But
Right.
it would, anything on the West Coast. I mean, you saw what happened when they announced Phoenix. I mean, it just, everything, oh my God. And that was cool. We had, that year, guys like Joe Spackman and people like that, Passanetti went down there and Rusty King and Watt. And I think there was, we had 17 paid members, and I think 8 or 9 of them, I know Kevin White went, and I think we had about 9 or, from our region. But if it's in Pennsylvania or Florida or the Carolinas or something, you ain't going to get 9 guys from the West Coast. You're going to get like a couple, and that's it, if that,
Right. It says, but UAS cherry picking with 4 peeps show and big points for racing. I don't. Yeah. I mean, there's so many. I don't know that there's any right answer. I think, but
there's not.
There isn't, and I think what they need to do is, it's like anything else, Rocket. It's just like what we do in racing, right? You go out there and you could call Chris C and you could call everything, and you can all a setup is just a ballpark, and that's really where we're at now. Until you start trying.
Right.
Until you start trying things, and I mean this in a way of, hey, maybe you try treads, or maybe you try no points, and the national guy that wins is, until you do that, you really, I mean, we're just sitting here, guessing. We don't know for sure. I mean, what if you had 250 guys show up when it was, letting all the Joe Blows just show up out of the, I don't know, but I don't know.
And the thing I've been harping on a lot of the guys around here, and I used to be this way, is most of them don't see the tires and the chassis and the setup. They all especially with all these Predator guys, their mindset. I mean, this is just my opinion. I'm not trying to put any one person down or anything, but this is just what I see. Because I talk to a lot of people. I get calls every day, people asking me questions, looking for carts, tires, this, that. But the mindset around here is they all just think they need a bigger motor. All the Predator guys, where can I get this cam and none of them think tires make that big of a difference. And that's just I don't know what the right word is, but just for in general around here, that's how I kind of see things. And I used to be that guy back in the day when we first started going racing at Oakwood and stuff. I didn't care about all that stuff. All I cared about was, as long as I had as good a motor or better than him, let's go. Let's race.
You know what, Rocket? And you know what? Way back then, even in the sprint racing, that's how it was. If you had a big bad motor, you were probably going to win. But you know what I was told? Yeah. When I was racing big cars, I said the same thing. I said, well, I got a little. The guy says, can you hold your foot wide open all the way around the track? And I said, no. He says, well, then you don't need a bigger motor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same. That's kind of the same thing here. Until you can wood it all the way around, you don't need a bigger.
But a lot of guys around here, they don't see for the tracks. I mean, most of the tracks around here are, in my opinion, would be medium to lower grip. We don't have a lot of big grip tracks around here. And a lot of people don't seem to catch or get that. I'm not calling anybody dumb or anything. I'm just saying they think it's motor, and they don't understand the speed. There's more speed to be gained in the tires. If you know your tires and your car and get your chassis right and especially get your tires right. I mean, everybody around here thinks they're the next coming of Steve Kinzer. They all think they can outdrive everybody else, but you got to get your tires right and your chassis right, and the motor's
I know
lowest part of lowest part of the equation, if you ask me.
Well, Rocket, here's the bottom line, and you know this probably as well as anybody. I mean, there's no substitute for hard work. I mean, and that's really
amen to that,
right? I mean, there's just no substitute for it. I mean, you can have a huge motor and you can have all this stuff, but if you're not working, if you're not out there, if you're not tuning, testing, trying, it still doesn't matter. And it's like everybody said, you could put everybody on the same, you could take away prep, you could take away that. The same 20 guys that are kicking everybody's ass are still going to be kicking everybody's ass. They're just, they just work, they just work hard,
I agree. Exactly. I couldn't agree with you more there.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, well, hey, man, we're a little bit over. Been cool. We've been doing this on Sundays. So, really, man, if you can, I know I can relate now that I'm a kind of a new FedEx guy. But, dude, if you want to come down on Sunday and hang out, because I'm going to have Gibb on. And so if you get a wild hair and you want to come sit in, man, let's do it. It'd be fun.
Yeah, now that traffic's a lot lighter than it used to be. It's not so big of a deal to get down there.
Yeah, dude, it'd be awesome. Love to do it. But
right on.
All right, Rocket. Thanks a lot, man. And
yep.
We'll see if we can get something together for Sunday.
Right on.
Okay, brother.
See ya.
Bye.
Later.
All right, everybody. The Rocket, Ronnie Cox. Man, it's cool stuff. I mean, there's just we could go on. We could go on and on and on and on and on and on. And Derek Wallace, you're one of the guys that I will say, low budget or not, dude, you get the most out of your gear. I mean, you can roll. I mean, there's just no to it. Chris Gibb too. Wayne Felch won 2 in a row, whatever. But I'm telling you, man, Gibb was as good as Wayne. That cart was just unbeatable at Salem, and I personally think it still would be. But yeah. And if he wouldn't have got taken out at BK6, I think he might have had 3. But that's just my personal opinion. Anyway, cool show. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We've been trying to do this on Sundays. I'm sorry I missed last Sunday. It was just I was with my daughter, and I had a big day, my first day, which, by the way, everybody, it's going great. Thanks for all the love and support on that. My head's spinning, but I'm no Rocket or Steve Sharpley yet, but I'm working on it. But we'll try to be back Sunday. Hopefully, maybe Rocket can come down, be in the studio. We'll hang out. But I appreciate Chris Gibb, the Rocket, Ronnie Cox for their input tonight, and all of you guys, man. That's why I'm here. And just remember, the Wednesday night show, I do it the first and third Wednesdays of the month. So in other words, I'll be back on the 20th of May with my Wednesday night show. Late Model Monday, we've been since it's kind of in season going on, we've been doing that every Monday. But as things pick up and we get open and all that stuff, then Wednesdays will be coming back. So I'll be May 20th is the next Wednesday night show. And, again, I just appreciate all you guys and love it. Jack Ryan, thanks for tuning in, man. If you get a chance, check out Jack Ryan's Facebook page. This guy is a ball handling wizard. So really, really cool. And last thing I want to say is this. Love God first, then love yourself. Everything else will fall in line. And when you're at the racetrack, if somebody's on the bottom, you gotta go to the outside. Don't follow the leader. Love you guys. We'll see you on Sunday. Peace.
Hey race fans, it's Double M, Mike Michelson, and it's time for Winner's Circle Wednesday, only on the Northwest Race Report.
Well, another show in the books. You are the reason we're here. We hope you'll tune in next week for another Winning Wednesday here on the Northwest Race Report.
Lippy here. If you like tonight's show or any of our shows, please like and share on Facebook. And don't forget to stop by TerryBridgesRacing.com. Subscribe so you don't miss any of our shows.
What's up, race fans? This is the real deal, Chris Gibb, and you're listening to the Northwest Race Report.